Hello, everyone. Well, we have a new president, so things to celebrate, but we are going to be talking about healthy pregnancy diet, nutrition, healthy parenting with Rachel. She runs a blog as well as she is going to be joining me in 1 second to talk about all these topics. And like I said, the topics is going to be, oh, there you are.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, we figured it out.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, thank you so much. And if you want to introduce yourself, and what I was going to say to our viewers is we're going to be talking about healthy pregnancy. The things that we should do if someone is expecting a baby from a healthy point of view. Then moving on to a little bit on the breastfeeding, and then a little bit on the parenting. We don't have so much time, but in 15 minutes, just a simple tips for other moms, young moms. So I'll let you introduce yourself, and let's get going.
Okay, so my name is Rachel. I started my page a little over a year ago. I'm very into holistic living, and I have two children. One is 3.5, one's 1.5, and I'm pregnant with my third now. And yeah, I've been
Congratulations.
educating. Thank you. Due in February, so I'm about 6 months along now. And from day one, really even before the pregnancy, my transition from breastfeeding into pregnancy, I started detoxing and preparing my body for pregnancy. And now that I am pregnant, each trimester is very different, but the general rule of thumb is to just basically get as many nutrients into my body on a daily basis as physically possible. And then I can dive into that if you'd like.
No, let's talk about the detox part first. You mentioned that you started detoxing your body before you get pregnant, and before you started preparing for the pregnancy, I should say that. So let's talk about a little bit about that, and then we can go into what you're doing now while you're pregnant.
Okay, yeah. So detoxing is intricate. You don't want to detox while you're breastfeeding because ways to detox, the way that your body gets rid of toxins is usually through bodily fluids, through sweat, through urine, all those outlets. And when you're breastfeeding, you're going to be letting toxins out of your breast milk if you're detoxing. So you have to be very careful, even with weight loss while you're breastfeeding. That's a release of toxins as well. So you don't want to have like rapid weight loss while you're breastfeeding. So I waited until I was done breastfeeding, and I had about a month or two break in between that and pregnancy. What I did was I did a vitamin C flush several times. I would drink activated charcoal.
Oh, wow.
That's activated charcoal is something that that detoxes your body as well, and you can drink it. It will constipate you if you're not staying hydrated enough, so that's a really important thing to remember. I did a 3-day juice cleanse, and I honestly I would have done it longer if I could. I personally couldn't handle it at that point just because I was so used to having a calorie dense diet while I was breastfeeding. So I took it easy. I did the 3-day juice cleanse.
Okay.
Might be a good idea to even do more than that if you can handle that.
Yeah.
I chose an organic. I bought it. I didn't do it myself. You can make it yourself, but I bought it, and I chose an organic company because if you're gonna cleanse, you're gonna want to make sure you don't have all those pesticides and additives and
Yeah.
sugars and whatnot, because that's what you're putting into your body. So there's really no point in detoxing if you're going to be ingesting a bunch of pesticides. Um, so yeah, that's what I did. I would drink dandelion tea every single day. That's a detoxing tea. Teas are really good for multiple things, and I drink them in pregnancy. I drink them depending on what my purpose is. So green tea is a good one if you're trying to lose weight. Dandelion tea is what I chose when I was trying to detox.
Okay. Wow, that's amazing. So, I was reading an article. They just did a sample of the blood of the umbilical cord, and they found so many pesticides in a mom, and that's all being fed to the baby before the baby's out of the door. And
Yeah. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because I've noticed that a lot of people in the holistic community, they like to encapsulate their placentas or eat their placentas.
Oh, wow.
And the evidence is just not concrete on that. And I actually advise against it because of what you just said, that the placenta is a detoxing organ. So you
Yeah.
don't really want to eat that. It detoxes. It's what keeps toxins away from the baby. So I really advise against encapsulating placenta or eating the placenta.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And you have a health background as well, right? You work.
Yes. I worked in MFM for 7 years. I was an ultrasound sonographer.
All right. So let's talk about your pregnancy right now and what you're doing to make sure you're healthy, you're holistic. I think it'll help a lot of moms who are pregnant right now.
Yeah, so general rule of thumb is to just stay very hydrated. I recommend 80 to 100 ounces of water every day. I also recommend seeing a naturopath at least one time throughout the pregnancy just to get a very in detail lab work done to
Mm-hmm.
see what you're deficient in and make sure that your health and your body is just up to par. Because when your body is up to par, then your pregnancy is going to be the healthiest that it can potentially be. I did see one. I was told that my iodine levels are low. Iodine is huge in pregnancy. Iodine is huge, period. I'm
Yeah.
a huge advocate for iodine. I am convinced that 95% of the bodily ailments that we have is due to iodine deficiency. So I always incorporate iodine into my diet, even more so now that my naturopath told me that I was low.
Yeah.
Um, when you have adequate amounts of iodine in pregnancy, it's linked to higher IQ in baby, better labor and delivery, just an overall healthier pregnancy. Initially, before I saw my naturopath, I wasn't orally taking iodine. I was just
Yeah.
rubbing it on the belly. And even before pregnancy, I would rub it on my ovaries and uterus just for general uterine health.
Yeah.
So now I do rub it still topically, and I do 1 drop a day in my drink that I
Yeah.
do. I also add vitamin C. I take vitamin C every single day. I started off with 1,000 milligrams in the first trimester,
Yeah.
and then I went up to 3,000 milligrams, and then I recommend even going up to 5 in the third, as
Mm-hmm.
long as you don't flush. Now, what I mean by flush is when you drink vitamin C to the point of having loose stool, you want to stop, because then you're really detoxing, and you want to be careful of that in pregnancy. That's not healthy in pregnancy. But if you do keep up with your vitamin C, you're boosting your immune system, you're making for a healthier baby, you're increasing blood flow, you're reducing swelling,
Mm-hmm.
you're reducing risk of hemorrhage and bleeding. Your healing process is going to be great during labor.
Yeah.
It's just, vitamin C is just amazing, amazing. Aside from that, like I said, I talked about earlier, the teas that I use.
Mm-hmm.
Red raspberry leaf tea is an amazing tea for pregnancy. It's great for uterine health. It is not going to induce labor. It's not an inducer. There's no oxytocin that will be produced when you drink it. It's just great for the uterus. It makes for an easier dilation. It makes for a quicker delivery and a healthier delivery and a healthier healing postpartum. So that's a
Yeah.
tea that I drink every day. I started off with 1 cup in the first trimester, moved up to 2 in the second. I'll move up to 3 in the third. And then once you hit full term, which is 37 weeks, you can drink as much as you want. I also add in nettles tea with that. Nettles tea is just full of nutrients, especially vitamin K, which babies are not born with.
Mm-hmm.
And that passes through the placenta. So your baby's going to be getting those nutrients through those teas.
That's amazing. So I've read a lot about a lot of women. Maybe we should only focus on pregnancy today, and we'll have you again for the other topic, because there's so much to talk about. And so acupuncture, a lot of women do acupuncture during the pregnancy. So any thoughts or any your comments on acupuncture? Have you ever tried it previously, or do you know any?
So I haven't tried acupuncture, but I am an advocate for it. I think it's an amazing thing for fertility. A lot of women who struggle with fertility have had success with acupuncture. I actually don't get a cycle while I'm breastfeeding. So that's something that I've considered doing while I was breastfeeding. However, you want to keep in mind that it can drain your supply. So that was always in the
Yeah.
back of my mind that I was a little worried about. I didn't want to take that risk.
Yeah.
But yeah, but women with endometriosis and other uterine issues have had great success with acupuncture. I don't know much about it in pregnancy. I'll be honest. I don't
Yeah.
know. I do know that it's good for your hormones. So, that's something you want to talk to your OB about and just get more details about it. I really wouldn't
Yeah.
advise it in pregnancy without digging deeper into it.
Deeper.
But if you're trying to get pregnant, it's amazing for fertility.
Got it. So what about yoga? Do you practice yoga? Have you practiced before? Did you practice yoga while you were pregnant with the other two kids? And now do you practice any gentle yoga or restorative yoga while you're pregnant now?
I love yoga. It's so
Uh-huh.
good for everything. It's so good for the reproductive organs. It's so good for the nervous system. It's good for the mind. It's good for the muscles. It's good for the joints. I don't do it during the pregnancy.
I
I
see.
personally, it's just personal preference. I enjoy weight training and high intensity interval training more.
Okay.
Maybe it's because I'm just so busy with my other two kids that I just want to get the most bang for my buck. So I work out 15 minutes a day. That's all I can get in. I mean, in my first pregnancy, I was doing it all. I was doing Pilates, yoga, weight training, running, and everything you can think of. I stayed very active. I mean, the day before I was in the hospital delivering my baby, I was at the gym on the Stairmaster doing everything. Now it's obviously a lot tougher. So, I do what I can, and I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. But do I recommend it? Absolutely. If you have the time and you can make the time for it, absolutely, I recommend it.
So tell us what you eat. Like you talked about, like what kind of food do you eat during the pregnancy, and what would you recommend other pregnant moms?
Okay, yeah, I can do a little run through of basically what I eat through the
Okay.
day. So I wake up, the first thing that I put into my body is warm lemon water with um, Celtic salt. And what I'll do is I squeeze, when I buy lemon, squeeze them in my citric juicer,
Yeah.
and then I freeze them in ice cubes. So I'll boil water and pop an ice cube in, and then I'll put some salt.
Well, that's a great idea.
Yeah, it's really convenient. It's really convenient. So then I'll drink that. That's the first thing I drink. Salt is really, really good. And my naturopath did tell me that I was low in salt too.
Yeah.
Salt is amazing for hydration and electrolytes. So it just replenishes the body.
Mhm.
So I drink that. I drink about, I want to say maybe 20 ounces of that. Um, Once I'm done with that, once I'm hungry, I don't force myself to eat or anything. The next thing I'll have is a smoothie, and in my smoothie I put spinach, avocado, basically whatever veggies I have on hand. I add sauerkraut to my smoothies. I know that sounds gross, but sauerkraut,
Oh, sauerkraut, the fermented cabbage, put it in your smoothie. How does it taste?
the taste is masked because I just add some frozen banana in there or some,
Okay.
cacao powder or
Yeah.
something to mask the taste. And that's why I put it in my smoothie, because I don't like the taste of sauerkraut,
Yeah.
but sauerkraut is so good for the gut. And if it's a raw,
Hmm.
organic sauerkraut, good quality, then that's more beneficial than taking, I think there was a study done that compared it to taking 100 probiotic
Wow.
supplement capsules.
Oh my.
So sauerkraut is huge in our home. My kids love it. I just
Okay.
don't. So whatever I don't like, I throw it in my smoothie because I can't taste it. So I
Yeah.
put that in there. It's great for the gut. I put in a lot of seeds. I do flaxseed. I do um, chia seeds. Chia seeds are great in smoothies because they
Mhm.
expand in the stomach. So they help keep you full.
Yeah.
I also add in kefir. I make my own kefir. That's another thing that's great for the gut. I
Mhm.
try to avoid dairy as much as possible. I have a dairy sensitivity and I get really bloated and inflamed. The only dairy that I have is like hard cheeses, but like
Yeah.
liquidy or soft cheeses, I like liquidy dairy, like yogurt and things like that, I try to avoid. So I'll add kefir to my smoothies, banana, frozen berries, acai berries are great to add in
Mhm.
there. I get little frozen packets from Costco or
Mhm.
Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I'll have my smoothie, and that's like me getting a big dose of
Mhm.
veggies
All
and
the
fruit.
nutrients in your body right at the beginning. Yeah, that's great.
Right. Yeah. From there, I'll have, like maybe some eggs and toast. I like Ezekiel bread toast.
Mhm.
For snack, one thing I'm obsessed with, all my followers know, is that I will eat a banana with some almond butter and hemp seeds. Hemp seeds are amazing. They're loaded with nutrients. My kids love it too. It's one of their favorite snacks.
Yeah.
One thing I will say about almond butter or peanut butter is you want to be careful about the quality you choose because a lot of them have inflammatory oils added to it or
Oh,
sugar. A lot of sugar is added to it. So I make sure to buy raw almond butter that has nothing added to it.
so raw almond butter, where would you buy it? Like Trader Joe's or Whole
I
Foods?
buy mine from Meyer. I don't know if you guys
Okay.
have a Meyer there.
I
That's
don't.
where I shop. No,
California,
but
I haven't seen it, but
Sprouts, any
okay.
grocery store should have
Yeah.
it. If not, Trader Joe's has a really good peanut butter that is
Okay.
made with Valencia peanuts, which is
I see.
great because those are in California and they're generally less, peanuts are prone to mold because they're grown in the ground and it's so
Yeah.
moist.
Hmm.
Valencia is grown in trees, Valencia peanuts. So that is your best bet with peanut butter. The
Okay.
only thing I don't like about that is that it's jarred in a plastic container and
Hmm.
usually it's heated and then put in the plastic. When plastic is heated, it leaches and it leaches xenoestrogens, which are hormone disruptors. So I try to find things in a glass jar if
Yeah.
possible, but yeah, that's a good option.
Okay,
So
great.
aside
And
from
then
that,
moving on, the next lunch, I think.
yeah, so then, and then going forward, just all of my meals, I try to have like a healthy carb, like a slow digesting carb, sweet
Yeah.
potato or a whole wheat pasta or, something like that. I try to avoid the white potato, the white rice, the white noodles.
Yeah.
So I try to incorporate a healthy carb, a protein, and a veggie in every single meal, and a fat, always a fat too. So that's usually my lunch, my dinner. So like for lunch, I'll have like a turkey sandwich on, wheat bread
Hmm.
with, some
Yeah.
mustard and lettuce. And then for dinner, I'll do like a chicken dish with brown rice or, a pasta dish with,
Hmm.
organic tomato sauce and some ground turkey or organic grass-fed beef, things like that.
Yeah.
And
And
I
that
try
makes
to
sense.
I try to limit the sugar. I'm still pregnant and I still have cravings and I don't deprive myself. I
Yeah.
definitely enjoy it, but I don't use pregnancy as an excuse to indulge. I definitely don't do that. I won't binge on ice cream at midnight because I'm pregnant. I try to actually use pregnancy as a time to eat my healthiest because I'm like, there's a baby depending on this nutrition, the nutrition that I'm eating. I don't want to I feel like I'd be more likely to binge if I wasn't pregnant or breastfeeding because there's not a child depending on this nutrition.
But let's say if you have a craving for sugar, then what would be the substitute for you? What would you go and eat? Like a chocolate or I don't know. Chocolate is probably not that good either. But what would you eat?
Yeah, so there's a lot of healthy alternatives. There's a lot, I mean, nowadays there's so many healthy alternatives when it
Yeah.
comes to dessert. So we have like ice creams that are dairy free. We have,
Yeah.
one thing I definitely avoid in pregnancy is artificial food dyes and high
Yeah.
fructose corn syrup. So there's like I've been craving sour. That's been my number one craving, sour candy. So I bought this brand Annie's Organic, and they have sour like gummy bears that are similar to a Sour Patch Kid, but it's an organic version that's a
Yeah.
little lower in sugar, doesn't have any high fructose corn syrup, and doesn't have any artificial food dye.
Got it.
So that's what I usually opt for. Another thing I want to mention is that a huge craving of mine is flaming hot Cheetos, but I
Oh,
refuse to
wow.
eat it. Haven't had it once. I won't do it because the ingredients are absolutely awful.
Yeah.
So if anyone knows an alternative to that, hit me up on my blog because I would love to know. I have yet to find anything similar.
That's right. Yeah, all of us. I mean, I've gone through my cravings, which is many years back. When I was expecting a baby. But a lot of women, all of us, go through some strange kind of cravings that you can't even think of. I never used to eat that, but suddenly now I have to eat. Like you're saying,
Yeah.
the having the craving. Okay. Well, anything else you'd like to add? We'd love to have you back because I think there's so much you can contribute. And today, the time. Sorry for the confusion on the time for our viewers
Oh,
as
no
well.
problem.
And anything else you'd like to add?
Um,
Yeah, please.
Probably just the one thing I would say is just to listen to your body. If you're
Yeah,
being active
yeah,
and you feel like you really can't breathe, if you can't handle it, if you're feeling crampy, listen to your body. And I just, just very, yeah, I'm just a huge advocate of really listening to your body. If I know that
yeah.
there's certain guidelines online or certain guidelines that doctors can give you, but really everybody's so different and we all need to just listen to our bodies and do what our own bodies can handle.
No, that makes sense. And for all the viewers, I saw quite a few people joined. I mean, this is definitely a topic for women. I saw men are welcome to join for their wives. We're not stopping anyone. But we were supposed there was some confusion on the time. So but we will be Rachel will be coming again hopefully, and then we'll talk about other topics. specifically in, more in pregnancy and parenting and breastfeeding and a lot of topics. With that, I'd like to thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And and have a great weekend. We have a president
Thank
now.
you.
So.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.